Hey, this is Little Nat. We're gonna do a workday video. Yes, I'm still working. Well, I took a week off. I literally took a week off. I shut everything down for myself. I did post videos during those weeks, but dealing with clients and going back and forth with clients was turned off completely. So I'm back. I'm gonna share a workday from a bit of the past, and the reason I wanted to share this is I screwed up how I put the batting, and I wanted to share how I fixed that. So come along, let's do the workday. I wanted to share the batting was short, and probably my fault because I put the batting on the wrong side, but I was focusing on some other things that were going on with this quilt. So what I did is I cut the piece on the side and I put it right here where the seaming is. And the reason I put it where the seams are is because you're not going to notice that there is a scrap batting there. Where I messed up in this video is I put the batting on the horizontal instead of the vertical. So by the time I realized that I didn't have enough batting, I had to cut the batting in half and re-put. Now I had to Frankenstein a whole thing of batting. I wanted to share the reason why I think this is so different is because this quilt was predominantly white fabric, and if you do the Frankenstein batting on the white, you will see that ripple or you will see that seam line. So I decided to Frankenstein this batting on the areas where there was a whole bunch of piecing, and it hid the seaming. For some reason too, I ended up doing 2 strips because the side panel, I had to cut the fabric on the side panel to make the fabric longer because I screwed up on how I put the batting. Now, if you have a quilt top that has so many different colors, so many beautiful seams, it doesn't matter where you Frankenstein the batting. As a matter of fact, you could use all your scrap battings and just literally scrap the heck out of it, and no one would know that you're using scraps of batting when you're Frankensteining it. I just wanted to share like the fact that it was pure white. You would see the seam, and I don't want my client to know that I screwed up. I screwed up. It happens. It happens. But I also put lightweight interfacing here and locked it in. Believe me, there's no gap in here. It just kind of spread open. But you can't even tell if you look at the quilt that there's even any like Frankenstein batting together. I did tell my client that I Frankensteined her batting despite the fact that she got me a big, giant, beautiful, right-sized batting. I let her know because, you know, I wanted her to understand why she had like the 2 cut seams where I put interfacing on there, and so she would know why and not just find out that I did it while she's home trying to put the binding on and wonder what happened. Let your clients know what you did and let them know why you did it, and usually they're really okay with it because you're giving them a heads up. I think if I wouldn't have told her and then she saw it, she'd probably call me and say what happened. And this way she didn't have to do that. I already told her. Ignore my dogs. The reason I did it here, where all the piecing is you know and you see the seams. But here, if I was to put the Frankenstein batting on this white fabric, you would see that I have a seam of batting there. That's why I put it up here. I could have put this scrap of batting down at the bottom, but you would see the seam, and I don't want her to see the seam or whoever receives this. I want it just to look like a beautiful quilt. And so here's where I Frankensteined the batting. If you're doing a whole cloth quilt and it is white fabric, I do not recommend you Frankensteining batting at all. Have a whole sheet of batting, because you will see the Frankensteining seams of putting it together. Am I saying it right? You don't want to see those seams. Okay. I told myself if I only do 2 quilts today, I will be proud of myself. Now, as time passes by, and it does pass by, I have found quilts that are not more densely quilted, that the batting inside the quilt can start bunching into different areas if you don't have like at least smaller than a hand size quilting around it. Washing it, that shifting of the fabric, it does affect the batting also, but that will be years to come, because batting with the scrim tends to hold itself really well. But now you're adding the Frankenstein and you're seaming it yourself with interfacing. The more quilted it is, the better that quilt will stay locked in and less likely for that batting to shift within the quilt. Down the line, it's not going to happen initially. Down the line, years later, batting will kind of lose some of its strength and structure because you're washing it and putting it in the dryer, and you just, if you quilt smaller than 3 inches, it'll stay put and stay structured longer.